Hello, hello, and happy Thursday. Welcome to today's live level up conversation. Whether you're tuning in live or catching us on the replay, I'm so excited that you're here with us. Happy Thursday. Let's get started.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market update. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, happy Thursday, friends. I'm Winnie Sun, your host, award-winning financial pro, Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member. Here on the show, we have a lot of fun because I get to check on in with you, see how you're doing, whether you're joining me live or on a replay. Definitely don't be shy. Jump in, let us know how your day is going, where you're joining us from. We're going to be monitoring comments because we are, in fact, live. And this is really fun because we get a chance to kind of keep you on top of sort of the big business headlines of the week. And of course, this week has been a little nutty. For those of you who are watching the stock market or just business news in general, you might actually be thinking like you have something to be concerned about. Well, let's just say, fortunately, today's stock market close might make you feel a little bit better. Today was a triple up day. In fact, the Dow closed up 371 points. We certainly needed that considering the week that we had this week. The Nasdaq closed up 283 points, which is great news. And the S&P 500 also up 68 points. Now, as you know, we've been having a lot of announcements this week on Silicon Valley Bank. And for those of you who don't live in Silicon Valley, like I don't, you may be watching it from the sidelines, sort of thinking, is this something that you should also be concerned about, right? Whether you bank at a mega bank or a regional bank or a smaller size bank, you might be wondering how safe is the bank that you're with, right? Aside from getting statements on your checking and savings, is the money going to be there when you need it? Well, certainly we're seeing a lot of volatility this week in the financial market, and especially in the banking industry, because Americans, just like you and I, are concerned about, will I have to lose sleep on where I bank at? Unfortunately, for many of us, the answer should be no. But certainly there was even more news today and then this week. And it wasn't just in the United States, in fact. You may have seen news come out of Credit Suisse. I think that was yesterday or the day before. Also, that was sort of a continuation of the Silicon Valley Bank nervousness that now went beyond our US borders to other countries and other banks and other investors. And of course, being worried about whether or not the banks were in good financial strength and if they would be able to withstand sort of this short-term volatility. But we see, unfortunately, all three indices today positive across the board. Now, one thing that we've been talking a lot about is just in general, like, are we going to be okay? Should we be worried about the banking industry? And most importantly, what is the government doing to make sure that this doesn't happen one more time? Well, we saw President Biden come out on Monday and talk, and he spoke about how the FDIC would stand behind the bank's assets, even though they exceeded the FDIC sort of limit in terms of insurance of 250,000. So they were going to make investors and customers whole from, well, not investors whole, customers, banking customers of Silicon Valley Bank whole. But now there's more. The U.S. Office of Comptroller of the Currency, I didn't even know this existed, to be honest with you, which supervises national banks, is now going to really pay much more attention. They're calling it heightened monitoring. They're going to be monitoring national banks and just making sure that other regulators and that these types of things don't happen. They need to make sure that there's provisions in place so that you and I will feel comfortable keeping our money at our local bank. And I want to say a big hello, welcome to, I see CrossX Fighter, Joshua joining us on YouTube Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, I see many friends joining us on many platforms today. Thanks so much. I'm sure you have feelings regarding banking in general, but I'd love to see your thoughts. If you've even thought about taking a withdrawal from your bank account this week, I would say it's perfectly normal. We've been seeing that in many parts of the country where people just have been feeling nervous. Probably not the best thing to do though if you have under 250,000 and it's FDIC insured, but nonetheless, those concerns are very much real. So this organization is saying that they're going to be working very closely with regulatory agencies across the United States as well as globally. They just want to make sure the federal banking system continues to be a place where you feel that is trustworthy enough to hold your assets, your banking and your savings, right? Any CDs you have. They want to make sure that you feel comfortable putting your paycheck into their financial institutions or banks and whatnot. So they just really want to make sure that in the future they have provisions in place to monitor any specific changes. In fact, I've been reading a lot about this whole Silicon Valley Bank debacle. And interesting enough, even 6 months ago, there were reasons that if the regulators were paying attention, there'd be reasons why that they should have made some changes back then so it wouldn't have become the issue that it's been in the last 2 weeks. So a spokesperson for this organization, what they call the OCC, as well as other banks and whatnot. Not a lot of commenting yet. I'm sure there'll be more in the news in the coming days and, of course, in coming months. And most importantly, we're looking to see that the government continues to plug up some of the holes in Dodd-Frank to make sure that there's more stringent regulatory issues to protect these things from happening so that we can feel comfortable keeping our monies at the bank, and so it prevents more bank runs or even nowadays digital bank runs where people actually like you and I would log into our bank accounts and move the money to another account. All right. Now, but here's more. Now, just when you thought, well, maybe it was just, Silicon Valley Bank and maybe just another bank, two or three, but maybe that's it. Do I need to still be worried? Well, now there's more news talking about First Republic Bank. Now, this is big news because this bank is also currently facing their own headache crisis, if you will, because investors and customers are also actively discussing whether or not it's safe to keep their monies at this particular bank, which is based coincidentally in San Francisco, not too far from Santa Clara, where Silicon Valley Bank's headquarters was at. So here's the thing. Again, people are really worried. Should they take their money out? And interesting enough, it seems like they needed help because a group of financial institutions, this includes Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, PNC, US Bank Corp, State Street, Bank of New York, Mellon, and they each of them came together and they all contributed to get this $5 billion each for a total of $30 billion in First Republic, just so that those individuals who bank at First Republic could feel comfortable keeping their money there. I don't know about you, but when my bank needs other banks to kind of help them out, like spot them some cash, that does make me not feel great about the bank that I'm banking at. Now, of course, there's people that can't really that quickly move their banking relationship. And this is, of course, many businesses, right? Many businesses actually have to hold more than 250,000 in their bank account, which would exceed the FDIC insurance limit. But why do they have to do that? Well, because they might have to pay hundreds of thousands of employees payroll, business expenses, and all that. So it's not really practical for them to keep under 250,000 at every given time. And therefore, some of these banks that have a lot of business clients, they need to make sure that they have the liquidity and the balance sheets to keep people feeling confident. So the deposits are obligated from these banks to stay at First Republic for at least 120 days. So hopefully during that time, First Republic can get their act together and, of course, raise some funds and take care of things. But this is, of course, following Silicon Valley Bank's news and Signature Bank's news, which was also not good news. And, of course, what we saw from Credit Suisse this week as well. And they were also bailed out by Swiss Bank. banking system through their government as well. So a lot of things happening. And so those of you who are watching and wondering, this is what I would say. If you haven't taken a look at your bank account in some time, I highly suggest that you do so this weekend. You just want to make sure you see what you have, right? Doesn't hurt to do a quick snapshot as well. But here's the thing. I wouldn't get so nervous about taking your assets out and making changes. If your assets are under $250,000 in one particular account in your name, it's usually covered by FDIC insurance as long as you're at a bank that has FDIC insurance. So therefore, if it does, whether it be a smaller bank, a regional bank, or a mega or very large bank, if you're under 250,000, it's FDIC insured, you shouldn't lose sleep. You're okay. You're backed by the US government, right? Now, if you have more than one account, and each of the accounts is under 250,000 and under a different title, that's okay too. Okay, that's good too. Now, if you're over 250,000 and it's only one title, then this is an opportunity to ask yourself of whether you need that much cash sitting around in one bank. It might make sense for you to consider diversifying that to another bank and again keeping under 250,000 because the FDIC insurance is per account, per bank, per title. So, hypothetically, if you had one bank where you had your account, your spouse's account, and a business account, as long as each of them is under 250,000 each, so they could even be like 249,000 each. As long as each of them is under 250,000, you are covered by FDIC insurance. So I wouldn't go and do a bank run or go online and transfer your accounts. Instead, I would take a look and just ask yourself, why do you have so much cash? If the reason is you need to make payroll for your business, that's one thing. If it's just money that's just sitting there not working so hard for you, it might make sense to reach out to a financial advisor and figure out a plan, maybe a better plan, and just doing a spot check now and then is a really good idea. So take this opportunity to do that over the weekend. You're not sure if you're like, I know for sure, Winnie, I'm not over 250,000, then great, probably good to check. Make sure your bank has your FDIC insurance intact. If you're good, go enjoy your weekend. You deserve it. You probably had a very busy week. And so I hope that you take this time to relax, of course. And of course, I want to just end by saying thank you so much, my friends, for watching Level Up this week. And if you enjoy this video, give us a like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with our latest content. And don't forget, you can find full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, Roku, Samsung, other streaming platforms. And don't forget, if you'd rather hear us on audio, check out Yes Factor with Winnie Sun, which is part of the LinkedIn Podcast Network, and I tune in on Apple Podcasts. That's a popular place to go. I'd love to see what you think. But join me again tomorrow. I'm going to be joined with my good friend Greg Nibbler for In the Loop, and I believe we're coming tomorrow a little earlier at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is going to be 1 p.m. Eastern for those of you on the East Coast. We hope to see you there. We look forward to joining you very soon. But if you don't see me till tomorrow, have a beautiful day. And thank you so much for Carla for tuning in. Oh, Carla said, with Signature Bank being acquired, does that mean that they leave the bridge bank that the FDIC created? You know what? That's a good question. And actually, I can't comment that on, but I will follow up with you offline on that. And thank you so much, Joshua, for always being such a positive supporter of our show. We truly appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Go ahead and share comments and share our show. I would really, really appreciate it. With that, see you tomorrow. Take care.